All right, we're here working on another video. This is video 3, video 4. I don't really know, to be honest. My goal is to get a video out to you once a month. I'm enjoying doing this. So let's look at knocking this out for November. And then we'll knock one out 4 weeks in December, January, February, March, whatever it takes to get everything done. I've got your email pulled up here. You have some great questions that I want to go through as best as possible. We got 3 big questions and a video here. So let's just start off. Number 1, you say I have an upcoming contest with a heavy, long farmers with a turn. How would I go about structuring training? I could see perhaps warming up with lightweight, and then the full distance, and then turn, then cut distance as we get up in weight, or alternate training, 1 day for distance and speed, and the next one for weight. Heavy, long farmers with a turn. That's like a whole lot of things that kind of contradict themselves right there all in one. I don't really know how those things go together. If it's really heavy and really long and there's a turn, it's very likely you're not going to finish it. So one of those terms has to be slightly incorrect. Just what I'm thinking. So it depends on how far out you are. The thing is, you just need to get stronger at farmers. Everything, dog, cat. Thanks, guys. Everything is mental, physical, and or technical. So as long as you are getting mentally stronger, physically stronger, and technically better, your farmers are going to get better. A big issue with farmers, if you're continuing to push them, they're either going to slightly build up or they're going to greatly break down all of your other lifts because they tax everything. Ankles, calves, hamstrings, quads, your entire back, shoulders, biceps, abs. We'll pull on those pecs a little bit. And the grip. And the more taxed your body gets, the worse that your grip is going to get. Anytime you have a grip event coming up in a contest, I always suggest, actually it's not always, it's probably the only time I suggest that you do any kind of jumping, any kind of plyometric jumps, not necessarily onto a box, but just random jumping in the gym. If you can measure the height, whether you're doing the reach test, long jump, anything like that. I don't have a lot of my masters athletes do this because they're vintage lifters and their jump's not going to be great anyway, and sometimes I'm really good at managing them one-on-one, but I program in, I would suggest you always do some kind of jumps on a regular basis, because the 2 things that are going to go first when you're overtrained is grip and jumping ability. So you may not realize that your grip is going because you're overtrained, and that's just general gym and life being overtrained. But if you realize all of a sudden your vertical leap has gone down a lot, or your horizontal jumping has gone down a lot, it's a good sign that you're overtrained, and one will help you have a better idea of the other. I would look at contest weight and set up the distance. So, set the cones up that you would have to make the turn, and work on some speed runs to get down there. And by speed, I don't just mean, technically solid. Not stressed about weight, not stressed about can I make the turn and make it back, not stressed about this is going to kill me for the next 3 or 4 days kind of thing. But contest weight builds up confidence. There's the mental side. Physical side, you can do multiple sets. Take it down, rest 30 seconds or a minute or 3 minutes, bring it back, rest 30 seconds or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, down. You can do multiple rounds like that. You can build strength that way. By doing multiple sets, you can also build technique. Get it on video. Watch how long it's taking you to pick up. Are you picking up and standing? Or are you starting to walk as soon as you pick up and go? Don't forget, they may call it the farmer's walk, but that does not mean you walk with it. You run with it. You move with that sucker. Your body's going to give out, so you better get moving. Mental, physical, and technical. All those things have to be addressed. So, that's one style of training. Another one is doing the same thing, but going, or if turning is what's killing you, then use 90% and go down, make the turn, drop it. Rest 30 seconds, 3 minutes, whatever. Bring it back, turn, drop it. Get used to going down fast and making that turn. If the turns are absolutely horrible for you, then use somewhere around 85% of contest weight, 85, 90%, whatever is going to still be something that you can do multiple sets of without getting beat up, without it being risky. Go down, make the turn, and as soon as you can get your body into a correct straight line position again, let it go. Rest, recover. Might take 5 minutes. You're pushing a little farther now. It might take 5, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know. Then do the exact same thing. Take it down, make the turn, get out of line. As soon as you get back in line, drop it, recover, repeat. Don't forget, you have to address the mental side of it. If it's mentally heavy, you cannot be afraid. You've got to get used to that contest weight or something near it. Physical. You've got to do something that's going to make you physically stronger to be able to move it. One set is not going to be enough. One set solves the mental side of it, but nothing else. Technical. You've got to repeat it. You've got to do something that's going to make you better technically at that event. And the only way to get technically better, multiple rounds. That's the way I see it, though. As far as structuring the program, to be honest, decide whether the turns are the killer or not. And the first week, I would probably take it down and make the turn, drop it. That's what I would do. And then from there, you have to make the decision, are the turns that bad? If the turns are something that you absolutely have to work on, then I would take it down, make the turn, get it straight, and then drop it. If you can get it straight, you can finish, okay? If you can work on the straight line runs of just getting it down there and being quick about the pickups and getting it down to the end, then you can be strong enough to finish it, okay? Finishing shouldn't be an issue. All the other stuff should be an issue. And if you get stronger, mental, physical, and technically better, you shouldn't have any problem finishing it with a great time. I hope that makes sense. That's how I would set it up. I would not do it twice a week. I think there are probably too many other events that you could focus your time and energy on. And just doing some light grip stuff if grip is the issue. If grip is the issue when you talk about that. There are some things that we can work on that might help you without severely overtraining you, because the farmers are an event that you can make progress at really good for 2 or 3 weeks, and then everything just tends to go into the trash. Your body gets overtrained really fast and really easy. Question number 2. There's been some interest in me coaching people for more of a cardio type workout. Since I do Strongman, I would incorporate those lifts into it, but I'm having a hard time picturing how progression will work. At first, it is easy enough. Introduce them to the implements, have them do a bit of work with them while keeping it light, but how to progress and track progress when the goal is cardio. I can and will up the weight, but is that enough? Should I do things like increase AMRAP, as many reps as possible times, or increase distance? Here's the thing, this is kind of the way I look at CrossFit and exercise. The point is work. For most people, if the point is to get in better shape and to do cardio and to just exercise, doesn't really matter what you're doing. The big concern becomes overtraining and injuries, especially with the Strongman implements. And because a new individual may not be fluent, I'm going back and forth between Greek and English, may not fully understand the technique on how to do the events, that may be the limiting factor for them. That may cause them to be slower. They're reaching down to a tire and they're not for sure how to pick it up. And for someone we're focusing on exercise and cardio, you want them just to be able to grab it and go. I mean, that's Coming from a weightlifting background, when I watch CrossFitters do snatch and clean and jerk, it makes me want to pull my hair out. Every bit of their technique is completely anti-snatch, anti-clean and jerk. But the idea is exercise, not perfection. They're using a really light weight, and the only thing you have to do is go from ground to overhead. That's the only rule. It's not about doing it correctly. It's about just going from ground to overhead. So if you're throwing in a tire flip, they may get to that tire and sort of reach down to it, and they think, how do I do this? Oh, this feels funny. Oh, I didn't get this over. Oh, I fought with this. What concerns me is, oh, I made a mistake. I tore my bicep. I think that concerns me. Doing something like, they've got those really nice giant medicine balls that you can shoulder and throw over your shoulder that are really, really awesome. But I've used them before, and it's a great way to tear a bicep, especially if you're grabbing and going, being explosive. I highly suggest a sandbag over that. The sandbag's a little bit broader. You get more lats into it, and you can take one of the Cerberus strength 100 kilogram, 220 pound sandbags and fill it up with rubber pellets, and it weighs about 100 pounds. And it looks big and it looks mean, but everybody can grab it and throw it. And because it's bigger, it's actually easier than a medicine ball or an Atlas stone of the same weight. And your body kind of sticks to it much better. We can't train stones in the summer here because it's just too hot. The stones are hot to the touch, and you're sweating so much, you grab the stone, nothing happens. But we can load sandbags all year round. Sweat just kind of soaks into the sandbag. That's off topic, but I think that's something that you can use. If you need a code for that, I know I have a code, but I never use it. I always find somebody else's. Another athlete has a code, I'll give you somebody else's code. And there's usually like a 10%, 15%, something off for you. If you need it, I'll find it if you're interested in the sandbag stuff. So how would you make progression? You can't really add a lot of weight to that. And I would have to see how you're structuring the workouts. If you're going to set up like, doing 4 things in a row, I'm trying to think what I've done. I've done a lot of every minute on the minute stuff. I'm really big with that. Cardio is not my thing. I have a lot of lung tissue damage from medication and health problems. So if I can do anything for cardio, it's really big. And then you're looking at cardio for strongman, trying to be really explosive for a minute. So what I do, the every minute on the minutes type of stuff, I go to my gym on Tuesdays, and I've got 40 minutes from the point that I park my car until I have to be back in my car and leaving. And that's including setting up the camera, grabbing all the implements, setting everything up, getting everything back so I can leave. So I don't have time to do much. So I grab the camera on the tripod, put it outside, and whatever implements are setting outside is what I use. So, half an Atlas stone, a couple of Husafel stones, some odd rocks, a frame, an empty super yoke, whatever is there. I might grab a sandbag from inside. I've got sandbags outside. I might get a throwing bag from inside. And I will just move it 15, 20 feet from one side of the where we train to the other side. When the buzzer goes off, the next minute's ready to go, I go again. I'll do every 30 seconds on the 30 seconds, every 45, every 60, every 90, and every 2 minutes. And I will tell you that probably every 2 minutes on the 2 minutes is the hardest one. Maybe every 90 seconds on the 90 seconds, because your heart rate just starts to slow down, and then it picks back up again as the heart does, and then you have to go again. So even if you do the same amount of rounds or the same total time, it's really, really hard. So I think every minute on the minute stuff is really interesting, and you can add weight to the implements. You will have to look at the individuals that you're working with and take really good notes. What kind of weights are they using on this? And what I would do is I would try to program them before you get there. What kind of weights, and you give them a guide on paper. And what we've done in training before, there was a guy who came here Easter this year, Cypriot, going to school in London. He just sent me another message today on Instagram. He's going to be back in a couple of weeks and wants to train. So he came here. He's in really good shape, and he wanted to do as many events as possible. And we didn't need to get beat up, but we needed some kind of cardio. So we had We had a medium heavy sandbag, a frame, a Husafel, and a throwing sandbag, and maybe another implement, all just sitting outside. 3 of us training. And it was just every minute on the minute. All we had to do was carry it 50 feet. Whatever implement was there in front of us, when it came our turn, carry it 50 feet. So I grabbed one, took it down. The next minute I brought one back. The other guy brought one down. The third minute I took one down. The next guy brought one back, and the other guy took something down. And then every time the buzzer went off, we all just moved whatever object was there. And we did that for a grand total of 10 rounds. So I don't think you have to make anything heavy. You don't have to make serious progress, but I think if you're paying a decent attention to what they're lifting in the class, then you're going to get a better idea of what, that axle clean and press is just like an empty bar for them. Everybody in the place needs an extra 5 pounds a side or an extra 10 pounds a side next week. It's just a joke. Sandbags getting way too light for everybody. I need to go down to the place that rotates tires and get some of those little metal things they use to balance tires out. I need 10 pounds of those, and I'm going to shove that inside the sandbag next week to make the sandbag 10 pounds heavier. We're all going to go an extra 5 to 10 feet on everything that we move next week. The tire flip, maybe 5 flips is enough. Maybe 7 is the key. Or maybe it's 3 with the tire we're using and 2 flips with a tire that's a little bit heavier. So I think, just the idea is exercise and progress. And beyond that, I wouldn't get too worried about anything else. And if we need to write down some ideas, send me your ideas, and then we'll make changes. But I think if you take athlete number 1 and you write down what they're doing on paper, what did they struggle on? What was easy? And then just make adjustments for next week. I think you can look at a lot of their programming very similar to a conjugate style max effort approach, or even a dynamic effort approach. You look at the max effort approach, you've got, for a beginner intermediate athlete, you pick an exercise that builds for you. You do that week 1. Basically, you set a standard. Might be a max 3, might be a max 5, might be a max single, but you set a standard. Week 2, you break it. Or if you did a max 5, you rotate to a max 3. If you did a max 3, you rotate to a max 1. Week 3, you change exercises. Okay. Now what I like to do is week 1, set a standard. Week 2, break it. Week 3, I might change a little something about the exercise to make it a little more fun. And I might go totally stupid and try to break it after that. Might add a different kind of band, a different kind of chain, a slightly different kind of setup to everything. But it will be similar, a little bit crazier, a little over the edge. And then after that, week 4, I change everything and go back to something else. Dynamic effort goes into waves, whether you're using 45, 50, 55, 60%, and doing 12 sets of 3, 12 sets of 2 on the first week, and then 5 to 7 sets of 3 on the last week. You're tapering down sets, increasing percentage. I think that kind of thought process works pretty well too. But write it on paper. If you get it on paper, you can see it so much better than typing it up on a keyboard or having it in the back of your head. That's where it confuses you. Get it on paper and then send it to me if you want. Okay, question number 3. I do occasional kickboxing and jiu-jitsu classes, and I'm starting to get more into them. I know that it might very well impair my ability at Strongman, but would like to minimize the effect. Beyond obvious things like eating plenty and resting for recovery, are there general things you would recommend? I'm currently taking 2 complete rest days, but that requires I double up on classes and lifting the other 5 days. Would it be better to do classes on my off days? Also, are there general things I can do in lifting to help in the martial arts? In particular, I find that my elbow and shoulders are always getting tweaked in jiu-jitsu. I'm wondering if I should be working them differently to strengthen them. This is a really interesting question. I need a drink to think about it. I trained in martial arts for a couple of decades. I found that if I went to the gym on Monday and did legs, I couldn't fight for 2 or 3 days. It was an impossibility. And then if I went in the gym and did chest on Monday, I definitely couldn't fight for a couple of days because my legs were dead And then my entire upper body, chest, shoulders, triceps were dead. No speed, no accuracy, no juice going through my body, and able to practice martial arts. So what we did, we had legs on Monday, and then immediately we ate, and then we went straight to karate class, and we fought on Mondays. So that was our big thing. We lifted, recovered as best we could, and then fought. I could not go through a fighting class and then go and lift. It had to be the other way around. I could lift, and then I could hydrate. I could get in, 6 to 8 eggs, pasta, rice, tons of fluid. Let that settle a little bit, and then I could go fight, for an hour or two, and then I would be dead. But if I ever let that muscle soreness set in on my legs, I had nothing left. There was no way I could fight. I couldn't kick. I couldn't punch. You can't move. You can't roll. There's a lot that you can't do. So if you're doing, 2 classes a week, I think you have to look at when you can structure them around your lifting. I don't know exactly what your lifting looks like right now. But I think your rest days are important. I think they're really, really important. And I think the timing of your kickboxing and jiu-jitsu classes are very important as well. And I would look to lift right before them. That's what I would do. Would it impair your ability at Strongman? Maybe. I will tell you, I'm in my 40s, and if I go outside and throw a bunch of kicks on the bag, or some stretching kicks in the air, it's probably making my life and my career longer. I will get knee pain, hip pain, and back pain from throwing kicks, and I will get elbow pain and hand pain from throwing a lot of punches, especially if I don't make contact with anything. I need to make contact with a bag or a person so that I don't have the joint pain from missing. But I think it's really important to remember that you can't do Strongman if you're 6 feet under the ground. So anything you can do to extend your life is essentially extending your career in Strongman. Now, we look at a lot of great top strongmen, and I watch a lot of their videos, and I was watching a Brian Shaw video the other day where he's talking about the 12,000 calorie a day diet that he ate, and he makes it a point right at the beginning to say, look guys, I'm not saying this is healthy, I'm not saying this is something you should do. I'm saying that I'm eating like this to be the strongest man on the planet. And that's the truth. That's the only reason. It's not for health, it's not for good cholesterol, it's not to live longer, it's to be the world's strongest man. That's the only reason he's eating that way. So if you're getting ready for a strongman contest, maybe you should step back 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out. If your elbows are hurting, knees are hurting, hips are hurting, you're not quite recovering enough, maybe your press is not improving as much as it should. Maybe you should step back away then from the kickboxing classes or the jiu-jitsu 1 day a week only. Or make the conscious decision during class, like I made all the time. No, I'm done. Half a class, I'm done. I've got other stuff I've got to work on. I think any responsible martial arts instructor would look at a grown adult who gets through half a class and says, that's it, I'm done. I've got other stuff I've got to work on and improve at. Would be able to say, you know what, you're right. Right, what I'm showing you right now is not the most important thing in the world. You've got other stuff, you're an adult, you're grown up. I totally respect that your entire world doesn't revolve around this mat just like mine does. I've got guys that come and train with me on Sundays. My life revolves around strongman training. My entire life, from 7 days a week, wake up. I structure my family around my strongman life, but I'm really good about if I'm not doing strongman, I'm not in the gym, I'm 100% family. And then when my family goes to bed, I'm 100% work. So I take those things 100%. But I'm really good about understanding that the guys that come and train with me, they aren't all that way. They're entrepreneurs. They own businesses. Not just have jobs, but own businesses. They can't get screwed up. They're not going to make progress like I am because they work like a dog. Hard jobs. Guys that come train with me, they're students. They're absolute students. And, they haven't slept for a couple of days because they've got exams. They are going to miss days. They are going to have to leave early because they have exams the next morning. So you have to respect that as a leader. The guys who come to you and say, I'm going to give everything I've got to be the best I can be. Well, then you push them and you drive them. And then when they don't do that, you kick them out then. But the people that that this isn't their number one priority, even if it's not just your number one priority right now. I think any good instructor, any great leader has to understand that. And if your instructor, whether it's you or somebody else, doesn't understand that, then you've got a really bad instructor, and I would walk away. But don't be afraid to step back if you need to. All right, I got off on a tangent there. Eating plenty and resting recovery, that's huge. You're going to have to eat small meals all the time. I know that sushi rice and rice pasta and things like that, I know it's ridiculously expensive. But with the MMA guys that I work with, guys that train nonstop, multiple sessions per day, it's really important. The fast digesting foods, the fast digesting proteins. I still try to stick with beef, whatever kind of beef that they like. A lot of the high-end guys will have everything prepared for them, but I still try to stick with beef, and then the sushi rice or the rice pasta. The jasmine rice has a high glycemic index. That works really well. It's kind of sticky. I don't really like jasmine rice. I like basmati rice. And the benefits of rice is you can add stuff to it to make it flavorful. And you can add soy sauce for sodium, which you need as an athlete. Start tracking your sodium and your potassium on MyFitnessPal every single day. And whatever they list as the minimum, add 1,000 milligrams to that because you're not average. You need more than that. And then let me know how that turns out. Track it and let me know in a week. Deal. It's a deal. You got to do that or we're done. But you're going to have lots and lots of multiple small meals. 2 eggs and some sushi rice. Finish a training session, 2 eggs and some sushi rice. You've got to get on it. You've got to have something. 2 scrambled eggs, duck fat. I'll get you some photo. Try the duck fat. I'm not kidding. Stuff works wonders. Treat yourself to something nice, a massage, a physiotherapy appointment, a spa treatment type thing. Buy some ice and get yourself in an ice bath. I get excited about that stuff. I think it works more just because I get excited about it than it actually does whatever ice baths do. I mean, ice here is very expensive. We don't have ice makers. So, you have to go spend like $20-30 at the store to get enough ice to go in a bathtub. But it's just like like babying yourself. And it makes you feel better about yourself, I think. Do little stuff like that. Go get a pedicure. Pedicure is huge for recovery. I'm not joking. Getting a pedicure for your feet is huge for recovery, especially if you're a martial artist, kickboxer, jiu-jitsu. Go get that done. Things in general you can do to help in martial arts. I still love dynamic effort, lower body work. Box squats with bands and chains, SS yoke bar, super safe on the upper body. You can go crazy with the bands and chains and percents and sets. Take it as, you can do 12, 20 sets, and it can really improve, your all around moving, if done even halfway properly when it comes to martial arts. What can you do for elbows and shoulders? They're always getting tweaked. Elbows and shoulders, make sure that you're using an SS yoke bar and not a regular squat bar. I think that's something that you have to get used to if you're going to focus on strongman or martial arts, or if you're going to use powerlifting lifts. to help you in weightlifting, especially if you're a vintage lifter. You got to save the shoulders, you got to save the elbows. Don't be afraid to wear elbow sleeves. I actually don't know what you can do in jiu-jitsu if you're allowed to wear elbow sleeves. But every time I go out and throw punches, kicks on a bag, I have gone to a couple of martial arts classes here. There's a boxing gym literally 100 yards from here. Put on my elbow sleeves and my Cerber strength elbow cuffs. Takes a little pressure off my elbows. I don't care what they say. They're not picking up 400-pound Atlas stones either. They're not deadlifting, whatever I'm deadlifting right now. They're not doing strongman. They're not doing what you do. So, and if you're teaching, set the standard. Put those elbow sleeves on and those compression cuffs. As far as your shoulders, get a bow tie. I just took mine off a second ago to make this video. Pull those shoulders back. SS yoke bar will save your shoulders. Ice your shoulders after every training session. Take a knee wrap and wrap the heck out of your shoulder, almost as tight as you can, across the trap, across the shoulder. Stick the arm out and get it wrapped really, really nice. Leave it on for 5 minutes, flush the blood out, and then get stuff moving around. There's lots of little stuff you can do, but get on it as quickly as possible. I ice my back about an hour before every training session. I'll ice my back again about an hour before going to bed. Did get one of those massage guns. Bought a cheap one, 60 bucks, delivered. Works great. Use it every night. What to say? There's a lot of stuff that you can do. You have to stay active. You have to stay on top of it. And duck fat, of course. All right, and a change of battery here. Last question here. You're trying to fix your deadlift. You're having a really hard time getting your shoulders to not get in front of the bar. The only way you seem to be able to do it is to get way too low, but then your hips pop straight up and your shoulders go forward. Any tips? You've got a video on Instagram here. So your issue is your shoulders are in front of the bar. To deadlift, your shoulders have to be behind the bar. To deadlift properly, your shoulders have to be behind the bar. So you're squatting down like a weightlifter would, but the issue is your hips pop up immediately, and then your shoulders go forward again. It's important to remember that a weightlifter still doesn't start a deadlift from that position. They try to do everything with the legs, and the whole idea is that the upper body is always posture perfect. That's the only way that a clean deadlift and a snatch deadlift transfer over to the snatch and clean. Same way that the clean and the snatch actually work. It has to be posture perfect. You're never looking down. You're never bent forward over the bar. Everything's absolute chest out perfection. Because once you start rolling like that, your body loses all of its ability to use the legs and to use everything as one unit. So I pulled up your video. I don't think you're a fireball. You're absolutely, I love to watch you lift. I love to watch you lift. I love watching fireballs lift. The issue here, I think, and I would love to work with you face to face, is that you're starting with the bar directly against your shins. The deadlift bar should not begin directly against your shins. So you're having issues starting off the deadlift and your shoulders are in front of the bar. Move the bar farther away from your shoulders. That's simple. When I stand up to deadlift, the bar is mid-foot. When I deadlift raw, quite often it's slightly in front of mid-foot. Now I've got giant long feet. I wear a size 16 American. So when I say the bar is mid-foot or towards the ball of my foot, it's a long way away, okay? But when you bend down to the bar, that bar gets a lot closer to the shin as you're bending down to the bar. That's my raw deadlift. Now when I have a suit on, the suit makes it easier for me to sit back and get those vertical shins. So with a suit on, I can sit back easier. I can actually bring the bar a little bit closer to me. But you're deadlifting raw, and before you even begin the lift, the bar is against your pants. It's directly against your shins. So your shoulders are way out in front. And because your vertical shin, your hamstrings aren't strong enough, you have no arch in your back whatsoever. Now you may not have an arch in your back because you don't have the hamstring and glute strength. And by looking at the way you're deadlifting, I would say that you don't have the glute strength, you don't have the lower back strength, and you don't have the hamstring strength. Don't let that discourage you, because everything that I see is an opportunity for you to get better. So I just criticized everything, but the only thing you have to do is get stronger hamstrings, glutes, and low back. The only thing that you have to do is work. That's all it is put in the work. And you put in the work, your deadlift is going to fly. So I ask you, are you the kind of person that can put in the work to build stronger hamstrings, glutes, and lower back? If the answer is yes, obstacles versus opportunities. This is an opportunity. So what do you do to fix that? Reverse hypers like crazy. 40% of your best deadlift is what you need to be using on your reverse hypers. 4 sets of 12 to 20. 12 is a minimum. If you can't do that, you're really, really weak. And get me videos of your reverse hypers. If that's not an option, tons of SS yoke bar chain suspended good mornings set up in the exact same position that your deadlift is. Just as if the bar was on your back, but instead of rounded forward like this, like you're doing in all of your deadlifts, arch this way, chest up. Add some light bands to that. Glute ham raises like crazy. Absolutely. Full range of motion all the way down from a back extension. Add bands. You need to be using a light band on this for a bunch of reps. Toes straight down, not turned out. Although this maybe not be a bad variation for you to do some of your sets with the toes turned out. I want to go through this one more time. Watching the video. Yeah, the first thing that's happening, you're rounding your back. And I think so much of that is that the bar is so close to you. Kill the volume. So much of that is the bar is so close to you. The first thing that's happening is your hips are shooting up and your back is rounding. So I'm guessing your lower back and glutes and hamstrings aren't strong enough to maintain an arch at all. What are your chest supported rows like? Barbell rows. Take that bar and set it up to where it's just below the knee and do a crap ton of barbell rows. You should be able to take like 80% of what your deadlift is from that position, wear some straps and get 3 to 5 reps on barbell rows. Maybe 70%. But if you can't contract into this position, and you never got anywhere near that position, you did everything. You began from head forward and shoulders completely, pulled forward. If you can't get into this position, then you're never going to get your shoulders behind the bar, and you're always going to completely round back your deadlift. What I want you to think about is to always make sure that your elbows are behind your armpits and your armpits are behind the bar. Okay? Right now you've got almost elbows out when you're deadlifting. I want you to go elbows down when you're deadlifting. Get those elbows behind the barbell. I think because you have your elbows out while you're deadlifting, it's spreading your upper body, just like this. Elbows out spreads your upper body. Elbows down, pretend there's a golf ball or a tennis ball under your armpit, and you're gonna smash it. Same thing as the bench press. The squat, the bench press, and the deadlift, the scapulas are in the same position, roughly, down and back. When you bench press, shoulders smash down, scapulas go down and back, smashing a tennis ball under your armpit with your lats. You're squatting down and back. The scapulas are down, squashing a tennis ball under your armpits. Deadlifting, hands are down, but you're not squeezing back like this. You aren't squeezing back like this on any of the lifts. You never should. But it's down and pulled back. And it's pulled back and long-armed because the elbows are behind the bar and the elbows are turned backwards, not out. I think because you've got the elbows pressed out a little bit, It's spreading everything out, including your upper back, which makes, as soon as you put any kind of pressure into your legs, into that bar, the first thing that happens, everything rounds. Elbows are down and contracted. You put pressure into the bar, you can get that chest up. You can lead with the chest. The way you're deadlifting is very common with lifters that do double overhand and straps. It's very, very common. I'm guessing if you went over under, it would probably change everything, but that may not be what you want to do either. So I think you need to make those adjustments. Work with the elbows, work with the upper back, build with some barbell rows over time. Give yourself time. Give yourself several months to get better at all this. Assuming you have a reverse hyper there, live on it. 4 times a week, absolutely. If you're doing stuff like super yoke, one-legged reverse hypers are huge. 15% of your 1 rep max squat, 1 leg at a time, sets of 1 minute. You're trying to build your deadlift. You can use somewhere around 40% of your best deadlift, maybe 50% of your best deadlift, 4 sets of 12, 4 times a week. All those muscles have to get stronger. Take your time. Don't swing it like crazy. Build muscle. Glute ham raises, you've got to live on the glute ham raising. The important part is to do decent technique, full range of motion, add weight, work hard, and make progress. That's going to be the same with all of your lifts. But you are absolutely impressive to watch. And I will say that you're impressive for me to see you think and how you analyze things and how you put things together. And your questions are always unique and well thought out and twisted into a very interesting manner that most people don't see that side of. So these are the questions that I had. I'm going to run this video, get this up on the YouTube for you so you can see it tomorrow going into your Strongman Saturday. So you have an absolutely great one. I hope this helped. Give me some more questions so I can get you a December video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.